So, findings of facts and conclusions of law. Do you know what that is? Do you know what that even means? If you don't, you're totally lost and you need a consult with me. This is James, Father's Rights and Resources, with the hashtag How I Got Custody. Got full custody of my beautiful daughter that's over my shoulders here. Those are old pictures. She's in her mid-20s now. But I got full custody of my daughter when she was 7 months old. How did I do that? I did it without a lawyer because I went to war and went all out and was relentless and scratched and clawed and didn't quit. And I didn't know 1% of what you guys know if you watch my YouTube videos, which are more thorough than TikTok or Instagram. Or if you get a consult with me, you'll learn more than you'll ever learn from an attorney. So findings of facts and conclusions of law. And if you watch some of my videos and you still don't know 100% of how to look up case law, look up the relevant laws, look up the court rules, and fill out paperwork, if you don't know all those things, then you don't know the basic fundamentals. Just like in basketball, you need to know how to dribble, shoot, pass, and you need to know the rules of the game, like fouls and things like that. If you don't have these basic things down, you don't get on the court. If you don't know how to steer, shift gears, brake, gas, yield, know hand signals, know the rules of the road and signs and things like that, what to do in a car accident, you see how many different things you need to know to even do things like play a game, backgammon, chess. You need to know all the rules of the game. Or drive. How the hell do you think you can go to family court, just walk in, I'm a parent, I have rights, I'll just... Go look at a law library. There's a million books in the law library breaking down the law and things like that. You need to find the precise laws and rules and things that help you. Do you know Troxel versus Granville? Do you know off the top of your head Troxel versus Granville and your rights and how to apply it? If you don't, then you're totally lost. Get a consult with me to get some basics. If you spent $10, $20, $50, $100,000 on an attorney, what's the big deal about my $80 an hour service that's going to give you more information than any of these attorneys have? Or watch all of my free YouTube videos. There's $50,000 worth of free stuff on there. If you talk to an attorney as much as I talk to you on my YouTube channel, you'd spend $50,000 and it's free information. And there's still bitches on here complaining that I charge my time for one-on-one consults. And I've lived below median income middle class lifestyle. I've rented most of my life. I've had the same vehicles for 10 years. I don't just go out and flip cars and get a new one every couple of years like some of you guys watching this stuff. You need to know some of the basics. So here's a huge one. Findings of facts and conclusions of law. Now, sometimes it helps you to picture this stuff when you think about a criminal case. In a criminal court, before somebody goes to jail, before they go to the electric chair, what has to happen with the jury? You go through trial. Let's think about, like, those of you know about the O.J. Simpson trial, or a famous criminal court case that was on TV. The jury, or sometimes you just see, you don't watch a trial you hear about in the news, and then they'll show the jury reading the verdict. What do they say in the verdict? The verdict says, we, the jury, find, F-I-N-D, find. Write that word down, find. Get it in your head. Find the defendant guilty or not guilty. If they're not guilty, they walk out of the courtroom that day or within the hour, do some paperwork, and they're gone. The judge says, you've been found innocent or you've been found not guilty, you're free to go. But if they're found guilty, the judge might give them the death penalty, life in prison, 10 years, 20 years, or whatever. The judge will make conclusions of law. You're so dangerous to society that we're going to lock you up and take away your freedoms because it's a fact that you did this. The jury found it to be a fact. Now it's a truth and a fact according to the court system. Now, somebody might have got railroaded, they might have got set up, they might have got framed, whatever, but it's a fact according to the system. But they don't take away somebody's rights fully until they make a finding of fact. So in court, I'm telling the court, you don't give me any visitation or equality with the mother? Under Troxel versus Granville, You have to assume I act in the very best interest of the child. And if I act in the best interest of the child, and all the science says taking the father away is automatically harmful, painful, torturous to the child, then you are tormenting the child. So you better make a finding of something that's factual that I've done that harms the child worse than taking the child away from me, because it's an unequivocal, undebatable, uncontested fact based upon the science. And this court believes in science, right? Or are you some tinfoil hat wearing science denier, Your Honor? I would talk to them like that. We know you're not some tinfoil hat science. You can kind of do it in third person where you're sideways attacking them. I'll tell my judge, you're a tinfoil hat. I'll tell my judge, you love sexually deviant perverts. My baby's mom's attorney. You helped defend Catholic Church priests when you were with the prosecutor's office. And, one of your best friends was Stuart Greenberg, a sexually deviant pervert who killed himself after he found out he was a voyeur and he was a parenting evaluator. You surround yourself with sexually deviant perverts. I tell that to my judge because it's true. Now, you don't have to go all out like that, but I never went to jail for telling my judge the truth like that. I never went to jail when I told my judge he has a hideously ugly wife. I told him in paperwork that my baby's mom's attorney and the judge, they're tag teaming me and they're mad. And I realized what it really is. First of all, I got my judge reversed in the Court of Appeals. But what they're really mad at is I date beautiful women. See, look at my beautiful daughter. Her mom was pretty. And I've dated prettier women since then. I said, I date pretty, beautiful women, and you and the mother's attorney both have hideously ugly wives. That's why you hate me. And then what did the judge say? You're going to jail? No. Did he say, I rebuke you? No. Did he say, I can't believe you did that, I'm going to punish you? And say, no. He said, well, James is sitting there making fun of our wives and stuff. And then he just moved on. One sentence. And you guys are afraid to go to court and talk about laws and rules that the judges have to follow. I told my judge that, and he didn't do anything to me. Because he can't. And I've protested in front of his house saying he's a child molester and a racist because my daughter's biracial. Because he harmed her with some of his rulings at some point. I can get into that in some other videos. But findings of facts and conclusions of law. The judge, they better make a finding, because it's an actual fact that if you take a dad away, you automatically endanger the child or the risk goes up. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I was a single mother home and I turned out fine. It doesn't say 100% of kids end up on drugs, you stupid jackass, retarded idiot. It says the numbers go exponentially up. Like 1 out of 1,000 kids attempts suicide sometime in their life or has suicidal thoughts. Okay? If the dad's not in the home, it goes up to like 400. That's not all of them, you stupid jackass, projection denier of reality because you hate fathers. And a lot of people who say that, they had all kinds of trauma growing up, and they turn out to be beta sims, or they turn out to be knuckleheads, or whatever. They still did well in school and got a good job, but they still got trauma in their life. So they're lying. But if it's an automatically scientific, undisputed scientific fact, there's no paper out there that says when you take a father away, that's good for kids. 100% of any study on that stuff says it's bad for kids. Okay? We're the protectors. We give identity to kids. We give fatherly affirmation, which is way more important than the mother's nurturing for a couple years when they're a baby. That lasts a couple years. Fatherly affirmation lasts for a lifetime. You see 50, 60-year-old folks saying, Brett Favre did it in the Hall of Fame speech. He said, I hope my dad is proud of me, and cried. Because dad never said he was proud of him. We yearn for fatherly affirmation. The Savior of the world got fatherly affirmation after he was baptized by John the Baptist. If you've actually read if you're a Bible believer, if you actually read your stuff. If the Savior of the world needs fatherly affirmation, and he put himself in a position to be dependent on the Father like we're supposed to be, then how much more do us lost sheep need it? It's the number one craving and need for a child, and we take that away first thing in family court. So, findings of facts and conclusions of law. So, if the court is going to take away your constitutional rights under Troxel versus Granville, and if you don't know that, you better figure that out and get a counsel. If they're going to take away those rights, then they better make a finding of fact. But most of the time what happens, these are serious allegations. So is murder, so is rape, and then people are found innocent later on. Do you lock them up for life and throw away the key before the jury makes a finding of fact? Do you guys get it now? They have to make a finding of fact that you did something factually, because it's an automatic fact. You take the father away, you're endangering the kids. And you tell the court, if you take me out of the child's life, you are abusing and harming the children. You're inflicting harm upon them. That's what all the science says. And we shut down the whole world during COVID because of the science. We're supposed to look out for our fellow man and inconvenience ourselves for the science. Well, the mother needs to inconvenience herself and meet me at Visitation Exchange for the welfare of the kids. That's the science. And if you take me away, you better make a finding that I'm a pedophile or that I'm an abuser, and there's a greater danger in my presence than my absence. This is how you talk to a judge. Stop being a pussy.